My connection to food began as a little girl growing up at my grandparents' table. They moved from the deep South to the San Francisco Bay Area during the Great Migration to start a dental practice serving the Black community. And in the space that they created at work and at home, all people were equal. All people were welcome. All people were worth serving. We used to gather around a good meal to debate the most important issues of the time. And this dinner table ethos taught me that the best moments in life, the ones where we feel the most connected and the most human, are when we're sharing food together. Food has the power to unite us all. And as I dream about the best approach to tackling one of today's most pressing human issues, climate change, I see food as central to our ability to gather everyone around the table for solutions. Flash forward to 2017 when I learned that I was going to become a parent for the first time. And in an instant, I felt not only an incredible amount of joy, but also the incredible weight of what it meant to bring another human onto the planet. Of all the things that I began to worry about, climate change was front and center. How could I reconcile the intense joy that I felt with the utter fear that I also felt in bringing forward new life during such uncertain times? The answer was to reconnect to my love of food and my faith in the power of humanity to gather at the table for solutions. If you want to change the world, change food. I began to obsessively research the connection between food and climate change, and I realized that there was a big opportunity. Land use and food systems account for 1/3 of human-made greenhouse gas emissions. That's huge. It's everything from the way that we grow food to what it takes to bring that food to your retailer and all the way to your front door. But most food companies don't even understand their environmental impact. And why? Because they're not measuring it. So what if? What if we made it easier for food companies and all consumer companies to actually measure their carbon footprint? Then they would know which aspects of their production process and their operations were the most carbon intensive, and they could make plans to reduce it. I also began to research consumer sentiment, and I was delighted to learn that so many people were craving more sustainable and climate-friendly products. In fact, 70% of US consumers think that it's important that a brand is sustainable or eco-friendly. And more than half of consumers are ready to change their shopping habits to reduce their negative impact on the environment. Not only do they feel that sustainability is important, but shoppers are also willing to pay more for sustainable products. Motivated by a commitment to a more climate-friendly lifestyle, 62% of millennials and Gen Z prefer to buy from sustainable brands. 68% of millennials and 73% of Gen Z say they're willing to pay more for sustainable products. We're beginning to see markets mobilize to meet this increasing consumer demand. Globally, 21% of the largest 2,000 public companies have committed to meeting net zero targets, including ASOS, Nespresso, Unilever, and PepsiCo. Food companies are committed to using more sustainable supply chains, like Nestle, which is committed to sourcing 50% of its key ingredients through regenerative agriculture by 2030 and reaching net zero by 2050. While it's encouraging to see initial indicators that change is afoot, we frankly need to move light years faster in order to shift all consumer products to being carbon neutral in this decade, which is critically important to meeting our global climate goals. Brands have an incredible amount of power to not only create sustainable supply chains, create climate-friendly products, build net zero companies, but also to mobilize billions of consumers across the globe to engage in the climate movement. So in 2019, I started a company called Planet FWD with the mission of using the power of food to help tackle climate change. We began with the idea for a carbon neutral snack. I started to explore what it meant to actually create a climate-friendly product and a climate-friendly brand. And that's why I created Moonshot, the first explicitly climate-friendly snack brand in the market. At Moonshot, we center the health of all beings and the planet when we make every single decision. This means that we source ingredients from regenerative farmers who we know by name. It means that we've created a radically short supply chain, just 100 miles long, to reduce emissions between our wheat grower and our cracker bakery. It means that we're constantly working to improve our packaging and make it more sustainable. We're working with retailers who support circular economy. And I will tell you, we are not perfect. Even as a company whose single mission is to heal the planet, there are places where we still need to improve. But every day we work to become better. And even in the early days of Moonshot, I knew that we were building something bigger than a single product or a single brand. We were building a framework that could be applied to all brands that wanted to reach customers with sustainable products and messages that aligned with their commitment to helping to save the planet. As my team worked to bring Moonshot to market, we learned firsthand just how challenging it was to create a truly sustainable product or a truly sustainable company, let alone products that were carbon neutral and sourced from regenerative suppliers. Because as it stands now, our food systems and our supply chains globally lack widespread transparency and traceability. This makes it really difficult for brands across sectors to make really good sourcing decisions. This system also doesn't provide a simple way for brands to understand the environmental impact of their supply chains or operations. And seeing all these cracks and challenges in our current system and talking to other brands that also wanted to be sustainable, I decided that in addition to building Moonshot, I needed to find another way to help brands become more climate friendly. At Planet FWD, we've created a technology platform to empower all consumer companies, from food to fashion to beauty and personal care, to do exactly what we did at Moonshot, starting with 3 important steps: understanding, reducing, and neutralizing your carbon footprint. We use a methodology called life cycle analysis to measure the carbon footprint of products and entire companies. Life cycle analysis helps us to understand all of the emissions that are created when we build any product, from a box of crackers to a pair of jeans. And once we know our carbon footprint and where it's coming from, we can make emissions reductions plans and get on a path to being carbon neutral. So at Planet FWD, we help brands reduce their greenhouse gas emissions through better sourcing, more efficient energy usage, shortening supply chains, improving packaging, just to name a few examples of how we can help. We also help brands achieve net zero by accessing the highest quality carbon offsets in the market. For example, we helped a brand create a carbon neutral plant-based milk for kids. We helped a food delivery company put carbon labels on all of their products so customers could actually make decisions about what to buy based on the carbon footprint of different meals. We helped a sustainable fashion brand develop a carbon neutral clothing line with fully transparent and traceable supply chains and an interactive carbon label. We're also empowering companies with the information to actually communicate their impact to their customers. At Moonshot, for example, we found that nearly half of our customers learned about regenerative agriculture through our packaging, and that 80% of our customers found our definition of regenerative agriculture very helpful in understanding the concept of regen ag and how it impacts the planet. Our consumers are also sharing that their primary reason for purchasing Moonshot, their primary purchasing decision for buying our crackers, is our climate-friendly practices, such as growing ingredients or using ingredients that are grown using regenerative agriculture practices, and as well as our carbon neutral seal. So it's clear that consumers are hungry for more, and now is the time for brands to really meet that increasing demand. In the United States alone, we have more than 1 billion acres of pasture, range, and cropland. What if we rewarded the sustainable stewards of that land by connecting them with buyers and customers who are willing to reward them and pay a premium for their protection of our soil and our ecosystems? Well, if we did that, we'd see rural economies beginning to thrive in ways that we've never seen before, and farm wages finally beginning to increase. Globally, the food, fashion, and beauty industries account for more than $1 trillion annually. Well, what if every single product that we made and consumed were carbon neutral and sourced from materials and ingredients that promoted regeneration instead of degradation? Well, if we did that, we'd see improved biodiversity, cleaner air and water. We'd see more robust and healthier communities around the places where we're sourcing materials. And I'm not actually talking about a far-fetched future. I'm simply describing what would happen if we made it very easy for brands to understand, reduce, and neutralize their carbon footprint, and for consumers to make decisions about what to buy based on how products stack up. At Planet FWD, we're building a climate-friendly consumer movement that brings all people together with the common goal of fighting climate change. And this movement will catalyze the market for carbon neutral and sustainable consumer products across sectors, enabling food, fashion, and beauty brands to lead the way to a net zero future. With so many factors contributing to a huge problem like climate change, it can feel challenging to even know where to begin to look for solutions. And yet, however large the problem might be, I am fundamentally a climate optimist. I truly believe that all of the technology that we need to achieve our global net zero goals is actually at our fingertips. All that we need to do is gather at the table to make it a reality. Thank you.